I reported it as I just described it to you. I made it clear that Trump's narrow comments did contextualize the term bloodbath within the auto industry. But the argument over what kind of bloodbath Trump meant, I think misses the point, which is that for a long time, Trump has sent these signals that his followers know how to listen to. In other words, they're dog whistles of sorts, in that to some people who are completely abstracted from the politics of Trump, they might think nothing of it. But Trump's followers know about we're going to be in the streets and come with me to the Capitol and all of this sort of language.
David Pakman went on this show to be interviewed, and during this interview, things started off cordial, things started off great, but the interviewer kept picking up on David Pakman, being the BS artist that he is, just BSing him the whole time, just saying lie after lie after lie, making things up, and then eventually David Pakman gets called out by this interviewer, and then he starts to panic. Let's get into this clip here, where David Pakman, during this interview, gets called out by this guy named Eli for his ridiculous woke lies.
New York election interference hush money trial that is currently underway. I spoke to Eli Honig recently.
Holy buzzword.
He's a CNN legal analyst and former prosecutor. He was quite convincing in suggesting that while it is absolutely clear what the law is and that Trump broke it, this has not yet been determined by a jury, but in his lay law person opinion, that if circumstances were different in terms of the general environment of scofflaw criminality from Trump, a more popular or less apparently criminal individual may not have been charged in the hush money election interference case. So that seems reasonable to me. I think that that's possible. When the New York quote hush money case was first indicted, it felt to me like the least serious of the cases. Not everybody agrees with me, but big picture, these are very serious indictments, extraordinarily well sourced when it comes to evidence, and certainly no evidence whatsoever that the Democratic Party or the Biden administration have any connection to it, despite Trump claiming that ad nauseum.
So whether Biden or the Democratic Party had any connection to it, do you think raising all of this up all together, all at very similar timing, just before he was run, does that mean anything to you?
I don't buy the timing argument.
If you enjoy content like this, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
The reality is that it normally takes a year to multiple years to really pull together complex indictments. Some of the wrongdoing that Trump is accused of having committed and indicted for actually took place relatively recently. And so depending on which of the charges you're talking about and who you ask, it was either done too quickly or not quickly enough. And so I really don't buy the timing argument as being particularly compelling.
What about the one that Trump goes along saying that if he wasn't president, this wouldn't have happened to him?
Well, it is undeniable that as a general concept, if Trump had not run for president and brought his habitual scofflaw style flouting of the law from the business world to the political world, he and his family would not be dealing with any of this stuff right now. That I agree with. Now, I think you're getting at a little bit of a different point, that people are targeting him because they didn't like his actions as president. I don't believe that to be true in the way that you're saying it. But certainly, Trump often says to crowds, I didn't have to do this. I had a perfectly fine life before. I could be playing golf or whatever right now. I think that that's true. I do think that he, for decades, was used to skirting the law. I mean, think of the fraud case in New York where he overstated the values of his properties in order to generate more valuable assets against which to get loans. I'm sure he's been doing that his entire career. His former lawyer, Michael Cohen, told me that he's been doing that his entire career. Becoming president and taking those sorts of actions out of the private eye and putting them into public eye certainly called attention to them. And it was in that sense a bad decision for Trump. That I agree with.
So on this particular property case, let's delve into this a bit more. I don't know as much about it. I presume you know much more about it. But I saw Kevin O'Leary going on, I think it was on CNN. You might have seen the clip, him going on CNN and saying this is basically what most property developers do, which is what they try and make their properties.
Of course it is, man. Everything that Donald Trump has done and gotten called out for, got people like David Pakman calling for him to go to jail and stuff like this. It's normal, man. It's completely normal. And whenever you're as rich as Donald Trump, like, I have a lot of friends, right? I'm in the online business space. I have multiple businesses that are online, and I have a lot of friends who make a good amount of money. These people who are making, millions of dollars a month or whatever, they have a lot of people on their ass. There's a lot of ways that you can mess up when you're making that much money. Like, it's basically impossible to not mess up somewhere in terms of like the legalities of everything. Filing taxes properly, making sure, having all the T's crossed and the I's dotted. The FTC's after you constantly, the tax people are after you constantly. It's really hard, okay? It's really difficult. I don't want to go into too much detail, but it's really difficult. And then you add into the fact that he becomes president of the United States, president, and he's also a Republican candidate. The other side that he was running against, especially back in 2016 and 2020, when cancel culture was alive and well and really thriving, they started cancel culture. It was a sport to them to cancel people. So they just used their cancel culture skills to try and cancel Donald Trump on something. You add into the fact that he's extremely rich with a ton of employees who could mess up at any time when it comes to tracking stuff, when it comes to, like I said, crossing T's and dotting I's. They can mess up at any time. And he would have no idea that it's happening. It's hard, man. It's 100% hard to keep track of all that stuff. And then, like I said, you add into the mix that he's not just one of the richest people in the world. And also, he was, in a lot of movies, he was in music videos, he was talked about all the time. He's a very famous person. Then he's the president. And he's a very, polarizing president at that. There's going to be some things that come up. But it's nothing that every other business owner that makes a lot of money doesn't do. Like, it's just normal stuff.
Seem much more valuable than it's worth. And
also, real quick, all of this can just be shut down really fast by calling out the fact that people like David Pakman and Cenk Uygur and Destiny and these people, they're supposed to be anti-establishment. They're supposed to be anti-government. They're supposed to be they're supposed to be like the party of freedom, right? They're the rebellious party. Shouldn't it be kind of base to them for someone to tax evade and stuff like that? I'm not saying that it is. I'm just saying if we're using their logic, people like David Pakman's logic, you should think that they would want people to be anti-government. It's crazy how it's just completely flipped around. How now the right wing is the anti-government party. And then the left wing is like just AI, just robots, just getting downloads from the government, getting downloads from mainstream media, and just repeating the same things as they're hearing from them. It's crazy how the switch has just flipped. It's really wild.
To get a higher loan. Is that correct?
Yeah, I did not see the clip, and again, I'm taking your word for what he said. It sounds like a version of lots of people commit this crime and not everybody gets punished for it, which isn't a particularly compelling defense to me.
So what exactly happened? Did the banks fully check him, or he totally frauded them?
So what was found was that there were completely imaginary property values stated for the purposes of using properties as collateral for loans, while on the other hand, outrageously low property values were being argued for the purposes of reducing property tax bills. That's the genesis and the fundamental, I guess, aspect of that fraud trial.
Okay. So the other week, Trump was highly reported as saying he was calling for a bloodbath in America, and a lot of the media went really on him for that, a bit crazy on him for that. But I watched a full clip, and it actually looked like he was calling for a bloodbath in the auto car industry, which is very, very, very different. What did he actually say? And does he often get picked off by the media, like by them taking him out of context?
Well, there's two elements to this.
What do you think David Pakman is going to say here? Because anybody who has actually read what Donald Trump says agrees with this Eli guy, where he was 100% saying there's going to be a bloodbath in the auto loan industry. That's what he said. There's going to be a bloodbath in the auto industry. People like David Pakman, people like Destiny, people like Whoopi Goldberg and those idiots out there took the word bloodbath and just ran with it. All these articles being posted, Donald Trump said there's going to be a bloodbath if he's not elected again. And it's like, are you people this stupid? I just don't believe that they're this stupid. I think it's bad faith acting. But let's see what David Pakman has to say here. Put your prediction in the comments and let me know what you think he's going to say. If he's going to say the truth or if he's going to spin it as if Donald Trump wanted a bloodbath if he lost the election. I think I kind of know what he's going to say, but maybe I'll be surprised. Let's see.
The full comments that Trump made were that he was not calling for but predicting a bloodbath, in the sense that if Joe Biden gets elected, automakers will be left with tons of unsold vehicles and it will be terrible economically for them. I reported it as I just described it to you. I made it clear that Trump's narrow comments did contextualize the term bloodbath within the auto industry. But the argument over what kind of bloodbath Trump meant, I think misses the point, which is that for a long time, Trump has sent these signals that his followers know how to listen to. In other words, they're dog whistles of sorts, in that to some people who are completely abstracted from the politics of Trump, they might think nothing of it. But Trump's followers know about we're going to be in the streets and come with me to the Capitol and all of this sort of language. So to me, the honest way to cover it would be to say, here's the totality of what Trump said in these comments. And of course, there's a long history of Trump dancing around pseudo-violent language.
That is so ridiculous. That is so, he surprised me at first. I thought he was just going to say the actual truth about what Donald Trump said. And then he said, but when you take into context everything else Donald Trump said, him even saying the word bloodbath means that he's calling for his followers to go out there in the streets and actually create a bloodbath. Dude, if you've ever traded stocks, if you've ever gotten into crypto, if you've ever done anything that has a chart going up or down, and then, you know, the chart is also signified by green going up good, red going down bad. If you wake up one day and the S&P 500 is down a bunch of points and all the graphs are red, you say, oh man, there's a bloodbath today. Today is a bloodbath. That's just a common term that is used. So if the auto loan or the auto industry is really going downhill if Joe Biden gets elected, saying there's going to be a bloodbath, that's a normal way to say it. It's a normal phrasing. These people are so bad faith. And David Pakman knows this. Like, I'm tired of giving people the benefit of the doubt and saying, oh, maybe David Pakman just doesn't have any business, experience. The man runs a YouTube channel. He has 2.7 million subscribers. He's sold books. He has business experience. He knows what the term bloodbath means in a business context. Donald Trump is a businessman talking about a business industry. When he says the word bloodbath in the context that he was talking about it, he's obviously talking about they're going to lose a ton of money. Everybody knows this, including David Pakman. That's why I don't like these people, man. I just don't like them. They're very bad faith actors. I'll call out Donald Trump when he's wrong, and I'll give credit to Joe Biden whenever he's correct. That's the difference. David Pakman will never give credit to Donald Trump. And he'll never, sometimes I guess he might call out people like Joe Biden, but in terms of the left wing as a whole, he won't call them out. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about David Pakman going on this show and embarrassing himself. I mean, shout out to the interviewer for at least providing the proper context and at least providing some pushback to David Pakman whenever he's making these claims, instead of just going along with it and letting David Pakman just spout off these lies. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about this David Pakman versus this host situation.